It's what I have heard, that you're supposed to build a team around you, that people that can help and advise. And this works, it's quite convenient. It's like everyone seems to know everyone.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard. Here's your host, Tabitha Bright.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales. Stories from the front yard, where I get to speak to property investors from around Australia about their investing journey. My name is Tabitha Bright and I'm the head of coaching at Positive Real Estate, where we help people build wealth through property. With over 8,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there are some incredible stories to tell, which hopefully make your investing journey that little bit easier and will inspire you along the way. So my guest today is Kathy Petamenos. Kathy recognised the need for building a team and how that has helped her move forward confidently, and she takes us through that in a bit more detail. Dealing with freaked out family and negativity on investing and having people in your ear all the time, how to manage that. And of course, overcoming fear to move forward and successfully invest with a quality team around you. So enjoy this conversation with Kathy. Hey, Kathy, welcome to the podcast today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, our pleasure for sure. So you've been part of Positive Real Estate for how long now?
Oh, not very long, not even a year. I think it was around last August, September was when I reached out. Maybe a little bit earlier than that, but around that time.
Okay, so it's if I can say, it's fresh.
Yes, yeah, I feel fresh for once.
Awesome. And tell me, for anyone that's listening today or watching, what is it that you do? Because you've got quite an interesting job.
Right. I work in a research institute at the University of New South Wales. We do infectious diseases research, primarily or historically HIV, predominantly, hepatitis, STIs, and now, of course, more recently, COVID's reared its head in our workplace as well. So quite a diverse area.
Interesting. And it says here that, you've done a lot of travel, you've been working with people and institutions all around the globe with what you do.
I mean, we're a large research institute, but a lot of the work is done collaboratively across a number of countries, regions around the world. And so, we collaborate with them. There's a lot of capacity building that I've been involved in myself personally, especially in the Asia region, going over and doing training, collaborating. So fair bit of travel. Some people more than I have, but it's been a tough year and a bit not being able to go anywhere. In fact, I was meant to fly out for a conference and a presentation, and a day just before I flew out, I was told can't fly, and the rest is history, as we all know, right?
Yeah, I imagine maybe, and I don't know because I'm probably ignorant as to the ins and outs of everything, but maybe better that you didn't get stuck.
Oh no, yeah, I agree entirely. That was, I was hesitant, and then got told don't go over, and then of course the conference sent an email overnight, said we're going virtual. Okay,
it's done.
Not on the plane. But yeah, looking forward to the trips in the future.
Yeah,
might be.
Absolutely. And they've just got the bubble. Being Kiwi, they've just got the bubble that's very tentative at the moment, back and forth. I haven't jumped on it yet. I just wait and see. We've all got that
trip for the end of January to New Zealand. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, already Milford Trek. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic! I didn't know you're a hiker, runner.
Oh, not a runner. I've tried, I've dabbled. I'm not, I've done it in the past. No, hiking, not so much. Occasionally, but I've been looking forward to it. I've done a few trips otherwise. But yeah.
Oh, Milford's beautiful. All right. And so what prompted your journey? Like when you first found Positive Real Estate, what were you looking for? Where were your gaps investing?
Right. Yeah. So I have my own property, and then as well as that, I have an investment property prior to PRE, and purchased that about 7 or so years ago, and I knew that I needed to get a couple or more if I was going to make this work. And I, a lot of inertia, hesitation. I'm not very good without having the support network around me, and it's like hesitated. I reached out. I bought this through a buyer's agent, and I reached out to them again, and then I hesitated. Had some personal family health issues at some point, and I just stopped. And then last year, COVID was an interesting year. It was also a milestone birthday for myself as well. And it was like, and PRE just popped up on Facebook. I sat in and listened, and then reached out, and there you have it. So it's what I have heard, that you're supposed to build a team around you, that people that can help and advise. And this works. It's quite convenient. It's like everyone seems to know everyone, which I have joked and said in the past it's like a mafia, but I know you guys aren't. It just feels that way. But yeah, and that's how I reached out, and it's been good ever since.
Awesome. And so tell me, what were some of the challenges outside of having a team that you felt you needed solving? What were?
Oh, look, even having the vision and the of how this works long term. Like I've seen a couple of the workshops and the Monday night sessions. I wasn't free, but and that's been very helpful as well. It's like I understand the concept of buy, hold on. I never knew how that worked beyond that. What do you do when you're holding on in 10 years time or 15 or whatever? Like, how do you reconcile, consolidate all of that? So not how that worked in the long term made it really hard to make decisions. Now. Gotcha.
So it's padding out any of the gaps that you had, a bit of a plan, and and giving you that clarity around what the journey actually looks like to get to your result.
And someone telling me not to spend money. That's
Now, would your coach be Laura Chug again? Is that?
No, my coach is Kesh.
Oh, Kesh, of course. Kesh, he's a favourite among many. He's an absolute charmer, that boy. We call him the hair because
he's got great hair, doesn't he?
He's got the best hair. He should be a hair model if there is such a thing. It's very funny. No, he's awesome, Kesh. And Riley would be your property consultant.
And Riley's been great. They've been fantastic, and I think that's helped a lot. Like, I've felt very comfortable with them both. Good. And that's important to me, right?
Yeah.
Is to
100%.
To adjust and settle in with the people like that, because they are sort of controlling your life in some way, right? Or impacting on it. That's for sure.
Of course. And so then often we see some patterns. So having coached in this space for a long time, you see trends and patterns and things that are commonalities for clients. My next question is interesting because a lot of people feel, I think it's interesting, and a lot of people feel quite alone in their journey of investing. So how did your friends and family feel about your investing decisions and getting out there?
Yeah, sure. So family, probably a little bit hesitant. I think that they didn't go down that path, so it was a little bit difficult for them to understand why I would be doing this last year. Like, the property that I got initially, that was fine. It's like, what are you doing investing? Everything's going to plummet. The floor's going to fall out. So they were a little bit hesitant. I have one very good friend, and she's invested, and she's been quite successful and has been doing it for the last 10 years or more. And it's like, I've got to do it, and never got around to it. So she was supportive, and others were supportive as well. But I haven't mentioned it to too many people, because there is also that element of people talking at you and saying, what are you doing? And and me having a bit of a fear about it all. Like, I am a little bit afraid to recognize I need to overcome that. So I just didn't want to hear the negative chatter either. But it's been pretty positive. There hasn't been any concern. And when there is a question raised, I have run back and sent an email to Kesh or Riley and said, hey. And then they've answered, and it's, I've settled down. So it's been mixed, but generally supportive.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I have, and I've said it on other interviews with clients. I've got clients that would have not told anyone in their immediate friends that, and so forth. And that's more common than not, really, having finding that often people don't understand. And I guess when you look at the stats, right, how many people invest successfully in Australia, like it's such a small margin. It's that, that 0.08 or whatever the number is, percent have 5 or 6 more properties. It's, it gets pretty skinny, and there's that fear. And so when you think about your investing journey, tell me, what have been the biggest lessons you've learned? What would stand out for you?
You did ask this question. I know I wrote some notes and I've forgotten what they were, but it'll come to me. Look, I think
I have the note.
Yeah, good. Maybe you can tell me what I wrote. No, so I think it was being less fearful, right? And knowing that there is a long game to this all, and as I said
100%.
before, like I sort of struggled to understand what was going to happen down that end, so I found it more difficult to start now. And I'm not saying this just because I'm talking to PRE, but I really do think that team concept was very important to me, right? So it's getting advice and understanding how it works. Like, I've been, a busy individual, but this part of my life, I was always hopeless with. I can't balance a checkbook. Like, none of that comes naturally to me, and I don't want to know about it. And that's another part. It's just like, it's too hard. Too hard basket. But I've been wanting to do it, and this was last year just seemed to be the right time.
Awesome. And so you've had some help around balancing checkbooks and knowing your finances?
No, I just even like being told maybe you should save some money for your next purchase. And I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, I suppose I should do that, shouldn't I? You can afford to save. Oh, right. I can. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Well, we've got some great budget tools. So sing out if you want a hand in that space. We all have our zone of genius, and, some of us are stronger in other areas, and that's why we get support. It's all part and parcel, isn't it? And do you want to share the story of your first deal? I mean, you say here that there's not too much to say really, but don't underestimate people that are starting at the very beginning that just want to know it's going to be okay, or hear what was the experience like of buying your first investment.
First through PRE or first at all? PRE?
Whichever sort of stands out to you. It doesn't have to be through positive real estate.
Okay, look, I'll just a little bit of background. The very first place I bought was actually a while back, and it was my parents actually saying you really need to go and buy something, and I just couldn't find a place. See, there is a pattern here. I'm really hopeless at stuff like that. And then eventually they said, we have a house that we can sell you just to get you into the system. So that happened quite some time ago. I ended up selling it to help out with my own property. Anyway, so fast forward several years, and then I got a property through a buyer's agent around 7 years ago, and look, the experience wasn't that bad. It was fine. It was just again, the whole logic around how you buy and what you look out for was sort of explained to me. I think it's slightly different strategy to what I've understand PRE promotes, but it was still the long-term end game, buy a few properties. And then fast forward a few years, things sort of fell over in terms of me getting that additional third property. We come to PRE, and then I signed up with you guys, and then there was something available, and it happened very quickly. I remember speaking to you, Tabitha, to make sure
that's right. Kish was on leave, wasn't he?
Yeah. So it was a whirlwind, and of course, that was probably a good thing for me because there wasn't enough time to hesitate. Right. I think, there was a lot of sleepless nights afterwards, not that many, but occasionally it's like, oh, have I done the right thing? But once you know how much you can borrow and what the rent is, and understanding that you're able to service it. So that was always my big concern, is serviceability and maintaining my lifestyle. Like I'm again, I understand the concept of you've got to suffer or, hold back for a little while for the longer term, but I'm not prepared to give that all up. So that was
No.
aspect. So the lessons learned, or what I took from it, what I remember, it was a lot coming at me at one time point, but the whole time I felt comfortable. So I guess I've not much more to say right now on that point, but it was daunting, absolutely daunting, but I felt really grateful after I did it.
Good. And you've highlighted a really important point there. Often people are really concerned that if they start investing for the long term, that they have to give up living in the short term. And I mean, I guess it depends on people's individual situations. It depends on, sometimes age. It depends on earning capacity and all sorts of stuff. And I've worked with young people who have had to make, and we're talking, fresh out of uni, that have had to make a choice and a commitment that they're starting early. And I've had people move out of their place and in with mum and dad. I've said, just give me 12 months, no rent to pay, save that rent, we'll get you the deposit together. And that's quite extreme and unusual, although, good on them. But for the most part, people want to know that they can invest and it's not going to mean that they're eating beans and rice, as Jason talks about often. And I think that's really important. So that's been quite achievable at this stage for you. I think your properties, has that settled?
Yeah, so the one I bought last year settled, and I've got a deposit on another one that should hopefully be built by next year sometime.
Fantastic. So where's the second one?
It's Brunswick.
Oh, yes. Oh, Beath and Lob.
Yeah. I think I might move into it, but hey, it looks amazing. Yeah. No, I won't.
We'd love to have you in Melbourne. Now, Beath and Lob is a special development, nice boutique, and awesome to have that exposure to Melbourne. So you got Melbourne and Brisbane, which is fantastic, via PRE at least. And your other property, whereabouts is that? Sydney?
Sydney and Croydon Park.
Awesome. So the three major capital cities, great spread.
Yeah.
Yep, the start of a good portfolio. That's great. And so I guess to wrap up, last question for you. If it's a classic podcast question, if you were standing with your younger self, what would you say? What would you like young Kathy to hear from Kathy today?
Oh, start it all early and not to be so afraid of things and stop second guessing yourself. But I do that across my whole spectrum of my life, right?
Oh, it's funny the patterns we have, isn't it?
Don't back yourself a little bit more than what you have, right? So yes, hindsight's 20/20 vision. Don't look back and all of that, but it really is. I wish I'd done it earlier. Yeah,
it's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah,
I do take my hat off to the youngies that just get stuck straight in. One of our young team members, she wouldn't be working with you at all, I don't think. Her name's Hayley Beavis, and she's young, still in her 20s, and she's on to 4 or 5 properties.
That's fantastic.
I know.
No, that is awesome.
Great. I was just so pleased for her.
Great.
For the youngies out there. Yeah. All right. Anything else that you wanted to share? Anything?
Oh, look, I did want to say, and I haven't said this to anyone yet. Another thing that, again, I appreciate that I'm doing a PRE podcast, but I really like the fact that you guys have also got that social contributions. Like your room to read thing really sold me from the start, right? And I think well done to you. And that really helped me settle with you guys and say, yeah, it's a good team.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, that'll mean a lot, especially to Sam, Jason, and Shay, the owners of the company. It'll mean a lot to them because they do drive that stuff heavily. They're big on giving back, and I think at the moment, because we have the 2 arms to the positive real estate coaching. We have the property side of things, and we have the education side of things, even though they're obviously well intertwined. The education side of the business is essentially heading up the room to read stuff and the education, for disadvantaged communities around the world. And then, and I saw today, it's a little bit of a heads up, probably before anyone's supposed to be told, but hey, let's talk about it. I know Sam's looking at ways to make the properties carbon neutral that our clients buy, as many of them as possible, have as little impact on the environment, and is looking back at different charities that where the properties aren't, we can contribute. And
that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So I was super excited when I saw that today. So it's it's lovely having these initiatives, and thank you so much for recognizing that, because it'll mean a lot to the guys. Awesome. Lovely. Well, I think we'll end it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And yes, all the best with your research.
Great, thank you.
And your investing.
I'll see you around.
See you.
Bye.
Awesome. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, I love hearing people's property investor tales. So if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with me via email at propertyinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We would also love your feedback, and I would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care, happy investing, and bye for now.